Bears, blog, boys, you know it all, computer, analytic, geeky nerds. Michael Schneider, Tom Cavanaugh, the Bear, blog, boys, know-it-alls, doing some podcast somewhere. Nobody wants to hear you. Geeks, you pencil-pushing, skinny jean wearing geeks, you.
Coming to you live from our mom's basement, this is the Bears Blog Boys podcast. I'm your co-host, Tom Cavanaugh, here with my good buddy and other co-host, Michael Snyder. Snyder, the Bears are heading to Vegas, trying to win big, hopefully just in the games and not at the casinos. But they're heading to Vegas, and what looked like it was going to be like a semi-exciting game. It still could be exciting, but against an exciting opponent, on the upturn. The Raiders have kind of gone through their struggles. Man, how you feeling about rolling into this game in Vegas?
Feel good. Again, coming off last week's win, you're hoping you can roll that momentum in, that it carries over into this week on the road in Vegas. Raiders kind of a struggling team. Overall, not as competitive as we thought. So, this is a huge opportunity for the Bears. And again, a Raiders defense that's very sus. I think the Bears could really, make the most of this opportunity. And yeah, I'm ready to dive into it. I'm fired up still.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about obviously the ins and outs of this game, but I think this really does start a pretty pivotal part of the Bears schedule. The Bears had a pretty rough opening schedule. I think the Cowboys was a bit easier of opponent than their first two, but the Lions, Vikings back to back, those are two tough opponents to open the schedule. Now it gets pretty easy. The Raiders start off a streak where it gets pretty easy. The Bears play the Ravens in there. So it's not like a cakewalk by any means, but the Bears are going to make any noise this season. This is a game they must win. And I tweeted this on Twitter, Snyder. I think I sent it to you. In old Bears teams in the past, this is a total game that they blow. They're coming off a big win against Dallas at home against what seems like a pretty easy opponent. And this just feels like in the Nagy era, this is a game that they just totally dropped the ball on. I'm hopeful that that won't be the case, because I'm very confident in Ben Johnson's preparation and how much of a psycho he is.
Exactly that, right? Again, you look at this Raiders team, and we'll dive into it. There's some glaring weak spots. They've been giving up a lot of points. But yeah, Tom, I feel great that Ben Johnson will have this game plan loaded up. There's, again, momentum carrying over from last week. I think there's a lot of ways to exploit this Raiders team. And I think, the creativity will show, and hopefully you build off of Caleb game. So, again, I'm very, very excited, Tom, to see what Ben Johnson does and how we kind of come out.
100%. I do think the Bears match up with this Raiders team very well. Their strengths, I think the Bears' strengths right now are in the passing game. Caleb's obviously still growing, and I don't want to say that he's he's playing really well, but I don't want to sit here and say he's a top 10 quarterback. But the Bears' passing game, with all the weapons that they have, with how Ben Johnson's calling plays, I think that's the strength of their offense right now. And that's the strength of the Raiders, or that's the weakness of the Raiders defense, their pass defense. But before we get into the actual offensive and defensive matchup, I just wanted to highlight some of the injuries. TJ Edwards, Kyler Gordon are still not practicing. Grady Jarrett and Colston Loveland are not practicing. Darnell Wright he didn't practice either day, that one is definitely alarming to me, because the Bears will be going up against Max Crosby, and that's the side he likes to line up on. So, those ones or the Darnell Wright one is really concerning, but the other four, I think, were to be expected. Grady Jarrett's kind of been in and out of practice with a knee injury. He does not look right on the field, so I'd be surprised if he plays in this one. I wasn't expecting TJ Edwards or Kyler Gordon to be back before the bye. So, Snyder, is there any I was just talking about the injuries. I know I lost you for a bit. So TJ Edwards, Kyler Gordon, Grady Jarrett, Colston Loveland, and Darnell Wright are not practicing. The Darnell Wright one is the most alarming to me because of obviously Max Crosby. But I didn't really expect Edwards or Kyler Gordon to be back before the bye. I think they'll probably try to play it safe with Colston Loveland as well. Maybe with Grady Jarrett. But if Darnell Wright doesn't play, then I am pretty concerned.
I'm in the same boat as you. I feel okay about letting the other dudes outside of Darnell Wright maybe miss the trip, get right, enjoy the bye, get right again, and then you're healthy rolling into the following week. Not saying I want to push Darnell Wright because I understand the risk of that, but if you're gonna, convince one of those guys to play, it's got to be Darnell Wright. I mean, here you've had worries at the left tackle position already, right? You lose Darnell Wright, who is a special talent, and you put Trapilo out there or whatever you do out there against Max Crosby, Tom, that could be so much of a liability where he can just absolutely wreck the game, take it over, change what you do. And, that could be the main reason why the Bears may not come out on top. So that's going to be a very crucial update. Hopefully you get Darnell Wright out there because, Tom, if he's not, that is almost like a panic button hit.
Yeah, for sure. If he doesn't practice today, I think that's a really bad sign. So I would just be very, I'm going to be monitoring that a lot because of how crucial and pivotal he'll be in this specific matchup. But hopefully they can get him back. I think he left last week's game a little bit early with this injury. So I'm wondering how serious it'd be. I mean, I'm assuming if he misses this week, he'll be able to come back after the bye because they haven't announced the severity of it. So I'm sure it's like a day-to-day basis. But yeah, the Bears could really, really use him in this matchup because the Raiders don't have a lot of strengths on defense, but Max Crosby is by far, in a way, an elite strength to have.
Again, just a complete game record, the motor that he has. I mean, if you put I don't know who it would be. Would it be Ozzy Trapilo?
I think it'd be Theo. Theo came in last week but again, I don't know, maybe because Ozzy wasn't active. So maybe it would be Ozzy Steiner. You could be right.
And it could, and I mean, if that's a guy that you don't feel great about suiting up on Sundays and who's been a healthy scratch to make his first start against Max Crosby, Tom, that could be very, very worrisome there.
It most definitely could be. Yeah. I do not want to live in a world where that is a reality, but it very well could be. So we'll just have to monitor those injuries. Snyder, why don't we get into the other matchups with this offensive-defensive matchup? So basically what stands out to me, Snyder, is this Raiders secondary is so pieced together. This was like a position group they kind of ignored in this offseason. So they're really just starting like a bunch of journeyman guys. Eric Stokes, a guy who was replaced in Green Bay. I think his name is Caillou Blue Kelly. Just across the board, like a bunch of journeyman guys that are playing in roles that they probably would be better suited as backups. And I think that they have just really struggled to stop the pass. I mean, every team they played against has had success against the air. Outside of that week one Patriots game, I mean, they have just been getting shredded. Marcus Mariota shredded them last week. So that's the matchups that stand to me. I think the Bears have basically an advantage on every single one of their playmakers and how they match up with the Raiders secondary defenders.
Yeah, that's why you're so excited going into this one, Tom. Coming off what they did last week, 30 points plus points against the Cowboys. Again, their defense had issues, but I feel like the Cowboys secondary more talented than this Raiders one, Tom. Again, you're talking about almost undrafted guys I've never heard of. I look in their starting safety. He's ranked the last graded PFF. Polo. I couldn't even tell you who his first name is or where he came from. So again, that's just the cast of guys that they have in their secondary. And as much as I fear Max Crosby and how much he could take over a game, Tom, he is the only guy on this defensive unit that I am familiar with. So again, do I think that Ben Johnson knows this and is thinking the same way? Yeah, I do. You've seen it against I know, again, the result of the Lions game didn't end up well, but if you watch the game, I like what they did against Aiden Hutchinson. They a lot of double teams. You've seen, I know some of them didn't go well, but you've seen, Jonah Jackson kind of faked that he was going in, then kind of went out to kind of double team Jonah Jackson, maybe some running back, tight end help there. You've seen sometimes where you even put 6 offensive linemen up there. I'm not saying live in there, but again, they had creative ways to kind of maybe make Aiden Hutchinson out of the game. And then you could even do more creative stuff, maybe some rollouts in the opposite direction, just completely neutralize Max Crosby out of the game. And I think if you attack this Raiders defense in that way with our personnel, with the secondary, I think you can get away with it. I think it can open up a lot of things. I think that's going to have to be the game plan. And again, I expect Ben Johnson to come out with that and think logically like that. I mean, we've seen coaches in the past just leave it straight up, not give the guy any help, and he just dominates the game. How I could take it back to one of the biggest examples is that I don't know if you remember the Adrian Claiborne game where he had 5 sacks and he was just dominating. I think one of the Cowboys like rookie offensive tackles, and I think it was Jason Garrett at the time the head coach didn't do anything to adjust, right? Didn't do any rollouts, didn't do any help, and he just absolutely took over that game. I don't think even if Darnell doesn't suit up, that's not something I would worry about under Ben Johnson.
Yeah, definitely not worried about it at all. Because while Max Crosby can wreck a game, they don't really have anyone else to take advantage of like all the attention you can. Like the Lions have other guys, right? Like the Lions have a pretty strong interior. Marcus Davenport played well against the Bears. Like I don't even think that they have a kind of a player like that. Malcolm Kuntz is okay, but again, he's not a guy you need to like put extra attention on. And also too, this Raiders defense blitzes a lot. They're 10th in blitz rate against the pass. So I think that they know that they have to help Max Crosby because they don't have other guys that they feel great about winning one-on-one. And there's just some other stats too, Snyder, I think that will play into the Bears' favor. I tweeted out a bunch of some of the weaknesses that I saw when just looking at some of the advanced metrics. So they're the 3rd worst team in EPA per play against play action passes. I think that falls right in line with the Bears want to do. The Bears are a heavy play action team under Ben Johnson. So again, that's where a Bears strength kind of aligns with a Raiders weakness. They're the 25th graded coverage team per PFF. And they're also a bad run defense team too. So again, this is just like not a great defense. I don't know if the Bears will be able to get the run game going against them. I think they were better against the run. This past game with Marcus Mariota and everything that the Commanders can do in the run game, I think that like really brought them down in run defense. I actually think they're pretty okay at defending the run. But again, I just think that the Bears are going to have a lot of answers through the air. And that comes with just our receivers being better than their secondary players. And then everything that Ben Johnson can dial up. It's just Caleb's got to, bring his A game like he's been doing. And I think that they'll have a lot of success on offense.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game for the Bears receivers as a whole. I said it on the last pod, Tom. I hope we could actually see a little bit more of Luther Burden the way we seen it last week. And DJ Moore and Rome dominated the snaps together as like the 1 and the 2. But then you've seen Olamide Zaccheaus, the next guy in line, closer to 35 snaps. But you see Burden kind of creeping up with 17 snaps. I want to see him maybe close that gap a little bit more involved. Because I think it just gives you more juice than Zaccheaus. I get maybe Zaccheaus is more of IQ, maybe more reliable, and that's why. But I want to see some more stuff designed to Luther Burden. You do some of that after the catch ability. So I think it could be a really favorable matchup for this whole entire wide receiver trio. The top 3, the dogs, with Burden being in there. So I'd like to see that. So, maybe get a little bit more explosiveness.
Yeah, for sure. There was actually an article by Scarlett Blair that said it was a Bears practice report. He works for Marquee Sports Network, and he said Luther Burden is building more trust with his coaching staff, and I think we're seeing that. I think the snap counts maybe haven't gone way up that you'd want to see out of your 2nd round rookie, but we knew this was going to be a gradual thing. Yeah. But they're designing plays for him, and that was something that we didn't see in the first 2 weeks. I think last week was like a big indicator that on obviously the flea flicker play, but even that big route over the middle, I think that requires a lot of trust because that's when you really have to know where you're at on the field and like how to make yourself available to a quarterback because there's so much traffic in those areas. And Luther Burden did exactly what he should have done. So I think we're only going to see that snap count go up, and this would be a good game to kind of get his feet even wetter. So yeah, I like that theory as well. And I think too, Snyder, with the kind of the problems the Bears have been having in the run game, guys like DJ Moore, guys like Luther Burden, to get those guys out in space, that can kind of be like an extension of the run game. Like you have those other alternatives to where just don't bang your head into a brick wall if it's not working. And for the Bears run game, that's kind of how it's felt. So yeah, I think we're going to see more of those like gimme screamed up plays for a Luther Burden.
Yeah, I know to me, Tom, this is kind of an indictment on our run game when you do see DJ Moore lined up in the backfield. And again, I do feel like he can provide some juice there. But I guess the cool part about it is like when you see him back there, you see Burden on the field a little bit more. Maybe you feel a little bit better about the playmakers in general. I kind of like that, but again, I kind of understand it. It is an indictment on our run game.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk. We'll like go into the real like nitty gritty of our run game, like different solutions that the Bears are like. If there's anyone worth trading, over the bye week, we'll talk about that. If there's anyone worth trading for to maybe help this run game out, running back wise, or like what they're doing schematically. I tweeted out that they are basically going to like an even split right now in terms of zone runs and gap runs. I think really, Steiner, at this point with the Bears run game, Ben Johnson's just trying a bunch of different stuff and hoping it sticks, which, I respect the approach. It's just we'll see how that works out. If they can I feel like that they have their moments in the run game, but like it's still not at a point that you can trust to like close out a game.
Right. And that's the concern. I mean, it's one of those things that we could talk all day why the run game is so important, but this is one of those things, Tom, that you need to just take control of the game, wind out the clock. Again, if you could put us in more, second or more neutral passing stats, kind of keep the defense on their toes, get that run game, wearing them down, like that could really do a lot to take control in the game, wind out the clock, closing it, and it's kind of been a missing part. So again, that's one of those things that's going to have to improve.
Most definitely. It's definitely going to have to improve. Hopefully they can do it against this Raiders defense that like statistically hasn't been great against the run, but I do think that they're better than maybe the stats would indicate. And also too, like, the Raiders, talent-wise, they don't have a great defense. Like there's no doubt about that, but this is a good defensive coordinator. Like Patrick Graham is good at what he does. He's been a good defensive coordinator for a while now. So like they're gonna have tricky stuff. Like I don't want to sit here and say this is like a totally like. I think this is from a schematic standpoint a lot tougher matchup than what they saw against the Cowboys, who do keep it very bland and don't really threaten you with like different blitzes and stuff like that. I definitely think Patrick Graham gives you more to think about. But at the end of the day, if you could isolate those weaknesses that they have, I think that you have to give the advantage to the Bears.
It's one of those things that I do believe, again, kind of talked about their secondary guys. It's one of those, like, I trust Ben Johnson. I trust Caleb Williams to maybe keep attacking the weak link, right? Like Rome Odunze has been incredible in man coverage, right? Don't know if they're going to run a lot of that, but if you see, Rome Odunze against Kyle Kelly, I think he was cut real early by the Ravens. Shouldn't be a starter in the league, but like those are the guys you need to attack. The same thing with the safety, like attack those guys. I understand establishing the run, getting it going, but if your guys are just straight beating the guys in front of you in the passing game, keep feeding them. And I do trust Ben Johnson will do something like that where you just attack and attack and attack.
It's funny you say man coverage, Snyder. The Raiders have ran the fewest cover one, tied with the Cowboys at 2% cover one. Yeah, so just a ridiculously low amount of man coverage. Like no team is even coming close to the Vikings are the only other team in single digits in terms of running. That's how few cover one that they're running, and they also don't do a whole lot of cover zero either. So it's not like they're blitzing a whole lot. Like they're not bringing all out blitzes. There's definitely a lot of zone pressures. They run 55% of their snaps so far through 3 weeks have been in cover 3. That is the most in the NFL. So again, I think these are all things that play into the Bears' hands. What do the Bears like to do? They like to play action, crossers over the middle of the field. That's kind of how you attack cover 3.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that this is just a really good matchup, and I'd be disappointed if the Bears couldn't run up the score.
Yeah, again, it should be a continuation of last week.
For sure. The Raiders offense versus the Bears defense, I think, is the more not worrisome matchup, but the one I have more questions about. You know, the Bears had a decent performance last week. They turned the ball over 3 times, and you'll always love your defense for doing that. Hopefully they can have that success, week in, week out. Turnovers tend to be a little bit fluky. I thought that Dallas had a lot of success moving the ball up and down the field. I didn't really think the Bears were doing a whole lot to stop them. They were just kind of bending, not breaking, and making the critical plays when they needed to, which, all power to them. I just think that's hard to count on every single game. So the Raiders offense has been pretty decent in the passing game. They had a lot of garbage time production last week, but and then they struggled the week before, and they were pretty good against the Patriots. I think Geno Smith's a good quarterback, Snyder. I think the Chip Kelly offense has been very mixed. It's not been what people thought it was going to be. I think there's been some frustrations in terms of usage and how they're using their guys. And then the big highlight here with the Raiders offense is that their run game has really, really struggled. The offensive line has struggled. Ashton Jeanty hasn't been able to get going because of how bad their offensive line, but it really hasn't mattered who the Bears have played against, Snyder. They have been allowing yards on the ground to every single team they played against.
And that's a concern. Going into this game, I am concerned that Jeanty does get unlocked.
Yes.
And he does get going. It almost takes me back. I think it was Adrian Peterson's rookie year. I think he ran for well over 200 yards against the Bears during his rookie season. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but when I watch Ashton Jeanty play, he's one of those perfect examples of, okay, don't look at the box score, look at the player, because he's making a lot of guys miss on these short runs, and you see the athlete, but you just see there's just nothing there for him. So I am kind of worried that he does kind of break out against this Bears defensive line, who really hasn't been good at all against the run.
Yeah, they've been one of the worst teams against the run. I'm just looking up their stats right now. They are an EPA per rush. They've actually been okay. They've actually been about league average, but I guess it just felt worse than it really has. The statistics would bear out to be. I'm sure the game script would kind of dictate why they've ranked better statistically, but it seems like whenever teams want it, they can get it against the Bears. The Lions game was really rough. And I thought even the Cowboys game, they obviously had to get away from the run because they were down by so much, but Javonte Williams was basically getting 5 yards a pop every single time he touched the ball. So again, this is not that good of an offensive line for the Raiders. And Snyder, it's funny. I just found this out. I forgot where I heard this, but their offensive line coach for the Raiders is Pete Carroll's son. He's had 2 sons on the coaching staff. And it's they were not that bad of a group last year. And now they're all of a sudden really bad. I don't know. It's just giving nepotism vibes. Maybe that's why they haven't been as good. But yeah, I'm not scared of their offensive line, but Ashton Jeanty's always a problem to worry about. He could definitely break out here. And if the Raiders play ball control, that's a way to kind of stop the Bears offense. And what we think this is a very advantageous matchup.
Yeah, I don't want to overlook this Raiders offense at all. And Geno Smith, again, consistently 4,000 yard plus quarterback. He is a professional, right? To me, he is that what we've seen with a Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. I think he's a pro, right? And I think if you do give him a lot of time to throw, he's going to make you pay. And the Raiders do have some weapons. I mean, Jacoby Myers is as solid as they come, super reliable, nice after the catch. And you have Brock Bowers, who, again, field stretcher. We know how good he is as well. So, it's one of those, if you give Geno Smith a lot of time to throw, he might make you pay, right? And now you combine that, if you're not stopping the run and Jeanty's averaging 5-6 yards per carry and you're a lot of favorable downs, then you can get in trouble. So, again, I don't want to overlook this Raiders offense at all.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to overlook them either. They've been good at taking deep shots as well. Trey Tucker has kind of been a thing. He's been able to get over the top of some defenses and have some long touchdowns. So again, this is definitely something you have to be aware of. I would definitely want them to chunk their way down the field. I think Geno, like you said, Snyder, has been very underrated. And he's willing to he's willing to test the tight windows, man. That's something we know about Geno. So I think you'll have opportunities to make plays on the ball if the Bears coverage is decent. Brock Bowers is only getting healthier. Like you said, Jacoby Myers is definitely an underrated piece. So yeah, the Bears will definitely have to have their game plan around a lot of these guys. I'm sure Jaquan Brisker will see a lot of Brock Bowers. I don't know how great I feel about that matchup. And then, yeah, you'll have to have a solution for Jacoby Myers, and then also kind of play for the deep shots as well. So they have a lot of ways to threaten you. I think that but with all that being said, Steiner, that, Chip Kelly's kind of left some of those plays, or I guess some of that usage on the field. Like, I know some people have been really frustrated with Brock Bowers' usage. I wonder if that will continue to only grow as he gets healthier, if we'll see more Brock Bowers, because I think, Ashton Genty's obviously a problem and could be, a very hard running back to stop. But the guy that worries me the most, probably, Steiner, is Bowers.
Yeah, I mean, Bowers is nasty, Tom. He is probably the best separating tight end in the NFL. And when it comes to coverage, you kind of worry about your inside linebackers. Bayard and Brisker are so up and down. So it's really hard to project how that's going to be. And the thing is with Geno, he takes shots. He will fire it in there. And then Bowers, when it comes to 50-50 balls, the guy's nasty, right? Was one of the best in the league last year at the tight end position. I mean, you give Geno Smith the time, that is something I do worry about.
Yeah, most definitely. And Geno's also not like a quarterback you feel great about blitzing a whole lot. So he's probably going to have a decent amount of time. Their pass protection has been a lot better than their run blocking. Their run blocking has been way worse than their pass protection. That's for the Raiders. So, yeah, I mean, you definitely worry about Bowers. This is a game you kind of wish you had Kyler Gordon, because I feel like he would obviously Kyler Gordon would probably match up with Jacoby Myers a little bit, because Jacoby Myers plays primarily in the slot. But I think Kyler Gordon's probably your best interior coverage player, and Brock Bowers is their best interior receiver. So like slot, however you want to put that, slot, flex receiver, like it's Bowers. So the Bears will definitely be missing him from that regard, but you're hoping, this is why you paid Tremaine Edmonds a lot of money, like to handle these matchups. This is why you took Brisker as high as you did, to handle these unique tight end receiving weapon options. And you're really hoping that in this defense, where you're matching a lot of the times, that they can handle those type of assignments.
Yeah, again, we definitely miss Kyler, but I think it's one of those things. What we need to do is we need to come out firing on offense, right? We need to put the Raiders in a situation where maybe they're not trying to figure out the run game. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Bears really need to come out firing. It's like how in the Cowboys game, where we just totally took control of the script with that Javonte Williams fumble, and then from there we got up early and we just kind of controlled what the Cowboys were doing. So one of those things is, again, if you gave the Cowboys the lead, or if you were, going toe-to-toe, and then you have Javonte Williams averaging 6 yards per carry, that would have been hard to come out on top and close that out and put yourself in a position to win that game. So I think that's one of those things that we're going to have to come out firing, and we're going to have to look ready from the get-go and not really hold back at all.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, while their run game has struggled and they haven't maybe been the running team that they've wanted to be under Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, that's who they want to be, like, to their core. That's who Chip Kelly wants to be. He wants to be a running football team at every single stop. They have been a run first team. They drafted Ashton Genty 6th overall to be a running team. So if you can get them out of that game plan, I think that's why other teams have had success against them, because they're not like built to be this drop back pass team. They obviously have decent weapons, but like, again, I don't think that's like necessarily the strength. They were trying to be a run first team, get the play action game going, which the Bears, to the Raiders' credit, if they were able to get that going, the Bears have been the worst team against play action in the NFL per EPA per play. So I'm sure that they're going to try to tap into that. But yeah, Senator, if the Bears could jump up early, I think that would be a very advantageous situation for them to kind of get the Raiders out of who they want to be and what they want to do.
Most definitely. And again, that's why I think the main reason why they took care of business against the Cowboys. So it's like one of those things like, hey, Ben, everything you have in your bag, all your creativity, your explosive plays, let's be aggressive off rip and kind of take control of a game like that. I think that's gonna be very important for the Bears is get those first drive points, get those second drive points. Like don't let up the gas, just be up really aggressive and then see how the script goes from there. I know that's wishful thinking. I know every team wishes they could do that, but I'm just saying, it's like all your tricks, everything you have in the bag, be aggressive early on, right? Go for those fourth downs early, right? Set the tone, get up big early. Like, that's just the overall philosophy. I know, again, it's wishful thinking. Every team wish they can do that, but it's the overall philosophy. Be aggressive, get up early, don't settle for the field goal. Get in your bag of tricks, and just really control that game. So I think it's going to be very important for the Bears this season. If they can do that, it's going to open up a lot for them and just controlling a game.
Most definitely. I think that's kind of how I would attack it. I think the Bears just as a team need to be the aggressor on offense because that's their strength right now. Because I don't think they can rely on their defense just like play a stagnant style of game where they're trying to run the ball and they're not maybe as efficient as you want them running the ball and relying on their defense. I just don't think their defense is that good to have that kind of faith. And I don't think the run game's that good to have that kind of faith. Center, another big matchup I think that the Bears will need to capitalize or this certain player will need to capitalize is the Raiders' interior offensive line has been really bad in the run game, obviously, but in the pass protection game as well. Jordan Meredith, their center, a 43.2 true pass set blocking grade. Alex Kappa, a 39.4. Dylan Parham, a 44.9. So they have been really rough on the interior with their pass protection. I know Jackson Powers Johnson just came back and they'll probably be a little bit better there. But if Gervin Dexter really needs to keep it rolling like he did against the Cowboys, I mean, a dominant performance against the Cowboys. If he's going to take that third-year leap that we're hoping that he does, this is an absolute matchup he needs to smash in.
He's been really good in the pass rush side. Tom had 6 pressures last week, huge pass rush win rate numbers. That's another thing, another guy that you need to carry over that steam and see like, hey, if you can be that consistent on the pass rush side of the ball, Tom, that unlocks a lot for this Bears defensive line because we need that desperately. But he also has to show up in the run game as well. I don't want to overlook that in that avenue. But yeah, we need him. This Bears defensive line, we are, I want to say desperate. So if we get to break out and be that star and that rush productivity guy inside, that just unlocks so much for this Bears team and just gives us an answer at a position group that we really need really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, we need like an ace in the hole. And the center too, like Kolton Miller has been one of the best tackles in the NFL this season. He's been, I think he's been like the best pass blocking tackle in the NFL. And that's kind of where the Bears' strengths were supposed to be with Montez Sweat, Grady Jarrett. Montez Sweat's played pretty decent throughout the season so far. So but if I had to guess like a one-on-one matchup between Kolton Miller and those guys, I'm giving the edge to Kolton Miller for sure. He's been just one of the better tackles in the NFL. And I think you can get after DJ Glaze on the other side. Hopefully that's who Montez Sweat sees more of. I think that would be definitely an advantage in the Bears' favor. But I think Gervin Dexter, this is really his game to shine. And especially if Grady Jarrett's not playing, he's not playing well. Just regardless, like even when he's been on the field, he has not been playing well. I think that the best source of interior pass rush is you're going to get that from Gervin Dexter. Hopefully we continue to see more snaps for Shamar Turner because I know he did not grade out well at all for PFF. And from when I watched him, he didn't really seem like he was doing much. But again, I think Gervin Dexter is going to have to lead this charge.
We need him. We need him to be that answer there. Pick up where you left off against the Lions and just be disruptive. And again, I'll say it again. If he could be that answer inside and be that guy just causing havoc in the pass rush situations, we're so just desperate for that answer, man.
We are. I'm looking at two because the Bears have not been blitzing a lot, but again, I think that comes back to who they played against. These past two games against the Vikings, I think it was a little different. But I'm just looking at EPA per against the blitz, and Geno Smith has been the fourth best quarterback against the blitz. So again, this is not a quarterback you probably want to attack a whole lot and pressure, even though I think that's you want. Obviously, you want to pressure organically and win with your guys. But this is not a guy this is not a quarterback you want to leave your defense susceptible by bringing extra bodies if you don't have to. And again, I don't think this is an offensive line where you need to do that. So that's going to be something to monitor. And also too, Snyder, the last thing I'll say about this Raiders offense is Ashton Jeanty has been horrible in pass protection. So if you can find ways to kind of exploit that as well, that would be like my X factor, I guess, of the game that no one's really talking about.
Fair, yeah. And we're going to have to be creative on defense to kind of stop this Raiders offense. And again, like I don't want to overlook this Raiders offense with Geno. He is a pro. And when it comes to the pass rush overall to the defensive line unit, you really worry. I know the run game hasn't been good either, but I'm just saying it's like one of those. I'm even dial it back. Like you've seen it in the preseason game against the Chiefs and Mahomes. You've seen what Jared Goff did. I think if the game script was different and, CeeDee Lamb didn't get hurt, I think you would have seen a little bit different from the Cowboys. Just when it comes to these, like, veteran quarterbacks, you can't really give any quarterback all day to throw, but you've just seen the difference week 1 and week 2. 1, J.J. McCarthy, 2, Jared Goff, and Geno Smith is a damn good quarterback that he's going to take advantage of that, right? So you're going to have to get creative. Kind of throw him off his game there. It's not one of those where you can kind of be just like soft, sit back, because he's smart enough to attack you there. So you're gonna have to get pressure on him. You're gonna have to take over the game script on offense. But again, do not overlook this Raiders offense.
Definitely don't overlook him. I think the way I'd summarize this game plan is I think the best way to beat Geno is to make him be patient. He wants to take shots down the field. He wants those chunk games. He'll rip them over the middle. Like that's how he wants to play. And I think if you make him play patient over time, then he's prone to mistakes because he will take riskier throws when they're not there because that's what he wants to do. So if you can make him check down and take the shorter option, for most of his dropbacks, I think that's the way to beat a Geno Smith. Because at the end of the day, he wants to live and die with being aggressive. I think we saw the Chargers do a really good job at that. They kind of just played zone coverage and were really disciplined in their zones. And I think he got tired of just checking it down and taking the short option, and he threw 3 interceptions. And that's kind of, I think, what you want to do. Now, it's easier said than done. The Chargers have a more talented defense than the Bears, and the Bears are really banged up. But that's, I think, the best way to get after Geno. All right, Snyder, why don't we wind this thing down? Why don't we go to our final predictions? Snyder, who do you have winning this game and why?
I do have the Bears. I just think that I'm a believer in our offense versus their defense. And mainly in the secondary, I do think that Rome Odunze is developing into a superstar. I think DJ Moore can still be very productive. He's on the field a lot there. I don't know if Loveland's going to play, but I feel still good about Kmet. I just feel good about our matchups in there. I feel good about Ben Johnson, having that game plan. And ultimately, I feel great about Caleb. I think he's showing us week in and week out early on the flashes of why he's special. And I think that Cowboys game really was the best game he has played as far as just accuracy, timing, staying within the pocket. And I think that's just something you're gonna build up. I think Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and just this offense, there's easy buttons every week, right? Mm-hmm. Again, top 8 in scoring. And just to say that about a Bears team in general is such a new thing. But I still feel good about it. And I just think this offense is going to be a little bit too much for the Raiders to stop. I have the Bears. Give me like 31 to, I think like 17. I think the Bears are going to be in front of this one. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Wow. Yeah. I see it a similar way. I think the Bears just can be more explosive on offense and they have more answers. I think that, there's just mismatches everywhere. It's hard to ignore them. I'm usually like pessimistic. I usually try to prepare for the worst, but I'm just like not seeing how the Raiders can contain this defense or this offense unless Caleb has a bad day at the office. Like that's the only way I can see this happening. Caleb and the offensive line, I think containing Max Crosby will be like the determining factor of this game. How well, if Darnell Wright doesn't play, how well can you slow down Max Crosby? I think that will be a determining factor of how much success the Bears can have on offense. And then on defense, Snyder, this is quietly a Dennis Allen revenge game.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Remember, yeah, Dennis Allen was fired by the Raiders, so I'm sure this is always one he's going to be extra prepared and try to have a really good game plan again. And the Raiders offense is definitely troublesome. I think it's definitely gives me some doubt, especially with how the Bears defense has been playing. But at the end of the day, I just think the Bears offense is so much more of a strength than any unit on the Raiders. So in this one, I will also pick the Bears. I'll say the score will be 28-17. I'll do 4 touchdowns, Snyder. I'll just peel back a little bit on the score that you had, and I think the Bears will win this game in Vegas.
I like that, Tom. Here, you want to click on this comment from White Hat? It was actually a Raider fan listening. I think he provides some good. You see that there, Tom?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
He said that the Bears should just run some blitz concepts and attack the line, and we'll do what Washington did. He says that their offensive line is a mess, and they deserve to lose until the coaches make the right changes. That very well may be the case. Geno's been pretty good against the blitz, though. I'm just looking at the overall numbers. EPA per dropback, he's been the 4th best quarterback against the blitz. I don't know if the Bears will do that a whole lot. They don't blitz in general. Dennis Allen, that's not how he wants to play. So maybe I think that there are other ways that the Bears will try to kind of tap into the communication problems, the protection breakdowns that you're alluding to, stunts, games, all those different things. I think the Bears will try to do a lot of. Maybe they'll try to bring more so pressures than like actual blitzes where they're bringing more guys than the Raiders can block up. And they might be bringing like linebackers and dropping edge rushers into coverage. That may very well be the case, but I don't know. I don't know if they'll tap into the blitz a whole lot. We'll have to see how they want to approach it. I think they're going to want to play safe against Geno Smith, who we know likes to throw it down the field.
Agreed.
Sandra, is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here? I think we covered this game pretty well, and we'll be back to recap it. Hopefully we can get back sooner, maybe on Monday or definitely by Tuesday. But maybe we'll try to get by Monday, Sunday night. Maybe we'll try to fit it in.
Yeah, no, this is a big one. You go 2-2 heading into the bye. Maybe you get some help across the league where, maybe the Lions, Packers, Vikings, some of them could drop one, and it becomes a new conversation. So again, I think this is a huge game. I think when it comes to Bears fans, I think everyone's obviously going to be locked in, but there's a lot riding on this game and just a stretch of next games. And see, can the Bears, come out on top more often than not? And are we going to have the conversation of playoffs moving forward? So I think there's a lot right. I don't want to talk about that too early.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, oh God, you're scaring me.
Here, the conversation is so different. If you're 1-3 going into the bye, all right, the vibes are so different. But you're 2-2 heading into the bye. Hey, it's a totally different vibe from there. So I think there's a lot riding on it in that aspect.
Yeah, I said it on Twitter, and I don't think I could say it any better. If these are like the type of games that measure how serious you are, this is a game you absolutely should win. The Raiders are kind of reeling. They're trying to find themselves on offense. The Bears have found some type of momentum. Like, this tests how serious you are. Like, this is a game you should put away and take care of business. And that's why I'm giving Ben Johnson, this new coaching staff, Caleb Williams, the benefit of the doubt that they do that. Yeah. But we could be having that same conversation like the Bears dropped the ball. Like, this is a game they should have won and they didn't. So I am taking the optimistic view, Center, as you are. And we're thinking they take care of business. But other than that, that's really it for us. Again, we'll try to be back sooner than later, but we will be back to recap this game. Until we meet again, y'all, keep it real and bear down.
Bear down.